Emma's world is a blur of steam, grease, and the constant ticking of a clock that always seems to be running against her. Every shift is a struggle to stay level with a mountain of debt that never stops growing. Then there is Mr. Thompson. Every day at table 6, he orders the same black coffee and dry toast, and every day he leaves the exact same tip, a single wrinkled dollar bill. To Emma, that dollar is a rounding error. This chart shows the reality she faces, a single unit of currency set against the towering columns of rent, electricity, and basic survival. The math of her life simply does not account for gestures this small. When you are drowning in the immediate, the future doesn't just look far away, it looks invisible. We are wired to demand a life raft right now, leading us to ignore the ship being built for us on the distant horizon because it doesn't solve the crisis of today. In this state of survival, a tiny gesture feels static. It loses its color. To Emma, that daily dollar isn't a contribution. It's a reminder of how much more she actually needs. Finally, the weight of the month's bills pushes her too far. She grabs the bill, bursts through the diner doors, and chases Mr. Thompson down, determined to find out why he thinks this $1 is enough. Desperation creates a specific kind of blindness. It forces us to fixate so heavily on what we lack in the moment that we lose the ability to see a miracle happening in slow motion right in front of us. Emma corners him on the sidewalk, holding the dollar up like a grievance. She asks him why he bothers, why he leaves a tip that wouldn't even cover a gallon of milk. Mr. Thompson doesn't argue. He reaches into a worn coat pocket and hands her a folded, yellowed bank statement. Emma looks down and sees her own name listed as the owner of an account totaling tens of thousands of dollars. The dollar on the table was never the point. It was merely the visible fraction of a larger, invisible process, a secondary deposit, made every single day, for years, while she was busy wiping down tables. This is how the money grew. For years, the line stays flat, but as interest compounds, it curves into a vertical climb. The secret isn't the deposit size, but the horizontal line. This spike happens because the process continued uninterrupted for a decade. A life isn't changed by a single windfall, but by the heavy weight of several thousand ordinary days stacked on top of each other. Emma looks at the old man, her anger replaced by a crushing sense of awe. She asks the only question left: why would he do this for her? Mr. Thompson explains that 40 years ago, he was the one standing behind a counter with holes in his shoes, and 40 years ago, a stranger saw him and decided to start a deposit. Kindness follows the same mathematical laws as that bank account. A single act, when repeated or passed on, creates a return that far exceeds the original cost. This is how a gesture survives the person who started it. It travels from one hand to the next, picking up speed and value as it moves across decades, long after the original person is gone. When we act with this kind of consistency, we are effectively sending help to a person we haven't met yet, in a time we might not live to see. Mr. Thompson wasn't just saving pennies, he was acting as a bridge. He took a gift from his past and carried it across 40 years to ensure it reached Emma's future. We often ignore the small habits and the brief interactions of our daily lives because they don't feel like they're moving the needle. We assume that if it isn't loud, it isn't working. But the things that actually change a life are rarely loud. They are the quiet, boring, and repetitive actions that most people give up on before the curve starts to climb. Every small habit is a seed. You might be frustrated that you can't see the harvest today, but the math is still working in the background, waiting for enough time to pass to show its true scale. The chain of a better life only stays together if someone is willing to sit down day after day and keep their place at the table, leaving something small behind for the next person to find.